So I'm going to use this video, and I can't credit it to anyone because someone else, the person that published it, didn't even credit anyone. They just took it. So I'm going to use it here for educational purposes. Let's roll with that. Well, you'll see what we're using it for. This is beautiful. Okay. Looks like this is a good point of credit right there. Stop a minute if you want to hit them up. I don't. I did not look at them there. I'm using his diagrams, his drawings in here that are beautiful for definition.
Hi, I'm Dr. John Kenworthing. Welcome to this short tutorial on your brain on anxiety and stress. It is essential to know how our brain responds to the stimuli which trigger an anxiety response so that you are equipped to deal appropriately with anxiety. Let me highlight the key areas of your brain that are involved, and then I will explain what happens inside the brain. The thalamus is the central hub for sights and sounds. The thalamus breaks down incoming visual cues by size, shape, and colour, and auditory cues by volume and dissonance, and then signals the cortex.
So he's saying that this gets visual cues from the eyes. He says then signal to cortex. I'm saying that everything goes through, first goes through to the amygdala first, but that's not the way they see the pattern. But let's go from there, and I'll tell you why. Well, I'll tell you why first. Think of a baby. A baby doesn't have a ability to use all this conscious ability as a child, as a brand new fresh baby. I'm talking about hours old, but yet it has the ability to sometimes open its eyes and close its eyes. It's nothing there for it to learn at this point. It's nothing to process. It's all new, strange world. Just came out of a womb. So then we go back to the baby with the crying. It's got two things it can do. It can cry and it can shut up. That's its only two forms of communication it can do. It doesn't know how to blink. It can't wave its hand. So it can cry and shut up. It can't even use breathing as a form of saying I need help, huffing and puffing, if you will. It can't do that. Two things, cry and shut up. It's instinctually done. That's not in the conscious mind. It's not consciously thinking, I want food now, I'll do this. This is in the amygdala range. So I'm saying that, well, I'm going to talk about the baby real quick and finish this video off. So the baby, you ever heard a baby cry sometimes and stop and cry, then stop, cry, then stop? Well, it created a trust system. Initially, when the baby cried when it was first born, it cried waiting for something, not because of pain. It wasn't pain. It cried because of it was trying to find, the mother. It can only do two things. Remember, shut up or cry. So some of them cry, but some of them shut up. They're quiet babies too, right? I'm sorry, they do slap it on his ass. That one might be a trigger of a crying response, which is really not needed. You don't need to make a baby cry right off. That's his first thing of pain. That's beautiful. They hit the pain sensor. You're born. Hey, welcome to the world. Bam, pain sensor. Beautiful. You sick bastard. So anyway, because you can't tell a baby's breathing or not. What do? Pick up a baby all the time? That'd be a good defense if you're abusing your baby. I just wanted to make sure he was okay. What the hell? So doctors picking up babies, brand new and slapping them on the ass. It helps them breathe. Help them breathe. Why don't they teach that in CPR then? You turn a person on their ass when they can't breathe and slap them as hard as you friggin' can and they'll start breathing. Really? I'm supposed to believe that? I think that's the most crazy shit I've ever heard. But moving on from there. So I guess in theory you could fall on your ass and stop yourself from breathing, right? It's your ass. It's your nerves, I get it, but it doesn't help the heart start running, does it? So anyway, I don't know where that started, but how do you check a fucking baby for that? All right, you got to have some bunch of dead babies and babies you think aren't breathing. Slap them on the ass and it does it. I think I think that's something. All right, that takes more thought, doesn't it? So moving on to the eye thing. So maybe I'll lose that argument, so I'll pass on that for now. But the eye thing. So it can only cry and shut up. So it cries and you give it breast milk, and it goes it stops crying because it's obviously it's taking breast milk. It never had a breast in its mouth in its entire life. It got food from its, let's call it navel, right? Your damn umbilical cord. That's where you got food from at one time, from that little section down there. direct tap, never using the mouth ever. But all of a sudden, boom, it can use its mouth. It knows that it's supposed to suckle now on the nipple automatically. That's some built-in programming there, baby. Now, that's not up in here. The baby's not saying, I want milk, I want to suckle. No, it gets the hunger pain. It goes up there. It can't speak yet. So it can use only one other force yet, a vibration, a cry. So the baby initially might cry pretty loud and pretty strong because that's what it's got to do to get this first round of attention. First round, you pick it up, it doesn't stop crying because you picked it up. The first time, you put the breast on it, and the baby will, oh shit, I caught on. There, yeah, this is it. So now that's the first thing it just learned, that, yep, my crying, and now it learned a trust thing. You also learn a trust thing. It learns that if I cry, I can trust that I'll get some nipple. Let me come back to that.
Cortex then gives raw sights and sounds meaning, enabling you to be conscious of what you are seeing and hearing. And I'll mention here that the prefrontal cortex is vital to turning off the anxiety response once the threat has passed. The amygdala is the emotion.
So it's vital for turning off the response once the threat is passed. All right, so real fast, let's go back to my favorite one. You're watching a movie, and the thing jumps from the TV set, and of course it's on the TV. Your prefrontal cortex you knew that this was not supposed. You're not supposed to be jumping, but nevertheless, you jump. That's because the amygdala told you to jump. You jump back. Again, I shared in each video, I guess now, that as far the point that you stop jumping back is when you now know your prefrontal cortex kicked in, and it kicked in by this sharing, saying, hey, you can participate now in what our actions are. But it didn't need it initially when it said bail out, run, or the dog jumping at you. You immediately run, then you realize after 30 feet away, you realize, oh shit, that fence, that dog's not chasing me. The prefront, this guy kicked in. And so if you only had to jump back 3 feet, well then, or walk back 3 feet, it kicked in that quickly, it processed, and it says, hey, we're good, man. You can stop the running. You can dial us down now, and you can turn it into a laugh. And, it's funny. So there we have it. So now we've got the baby crying. It takes the breast. It's now learned the amygdala has now been reinforced, saying that, yep, I cry, I get breast. Now maybe the baby cries again loud another time, and it gets breast again. Ultimately, the baby is going to catch on that, okay, when I cry, I get breast, I get fed. So it will do like a little thing. It might go cry, and then stop crying. And people say, oh, he stopped crying, leave him alone. No, it didn't just cry out of nowhere. That was a little alarm, if you will. It has a trust system. It learned that if it just cries and waits a moment, the mother will come. The mother will come and give it its food or give it its love. It's holding, it's caring it needs. And now we know one or the other. You just fed the baby starts crying a few minutes later after you put it down. That means it no longer wants milk if you try to give it milk again. It wants you to hold it. The baby wants love at this point. It has the other emotion that kicked in, love. Now, I say the love is not up in here. I say it's down here in this little guy again. It's in our amygdala, and that's because I'm saying it's there because it can't learn. What's the point of teaching it here? The knowledge of this here at this point. It doesn't need it yet. It's just not there yet. It just needs the food yet. There's nothing to load here. Maybe it's getting ready to load it. But I say this little guy, this amygdala, can load this brain up, the prefrontal cortex. And this is your memories and all that stuff, I think. So, and this guy's able to access it, keep it on standby and access them, I think, and be like the master quick decision maker, if you will. So, so then the baby cries and you come and get it. And it goes, okay, cool. There you go. So then you try to give it breast, no breast, it doesn't want to eat. And so therefore it just wanted holding. Simple as that. It wanted love. Now you take the same thing, you don't give the baby love. Now it just learns that this crazy feeling it needs, this love feeling it needs is not satisfied. So it starts crying again. Ah. And the mother says, it doesn't need any milk. It's just crying. Leave it alone. It just must be irritated. Ultimately, it comes down to the baby's teething, they even say, right? So the baby's teething. Its teeth are coming in. So then that's a point in the life of the baby that you don't have to care about it because it's painful for the teeth to come in. Really? How many guys you lost teeth and teeth came in? It wasn't painful, was it? Oh, my tooth comes like you're damn changing like them damn critters in those movies where the nails are coming out of their hands or something. Come on. body's address that pain of the tooth coming in. Um, it's gonna. It's just some things that just don't make sense. That the old medical thing is just sorry. It's still being carried on this long, like slapping a kid on the ass to help him breathe. Yeah, that's great. So why'd you slap your kid around? I was helping him breathe. All right, back to this thing here.
Core of the brain, whose primary role is to trigger the fear response. Information passing through the amygdala is associated with an emotional significance. The bed nucleus of the stria terminals is particularly interesting when we discuss anxiety. While the amygdala sets off an immediate burst of fear, the BRST perpetuates the fear response, causing longer-term unease typical of anxiety. The locus.
Understand that? So this is the one where you're caught in that cycle, and your anxiety. This is going to be right around there. These guys are tied in. So this is going to be more like your PTSD deal going on right here, But let's move on.
Ceruleus receives signals from the amygdala and initiates the classic anxiety response: rapid heartbeat, increased blood pressure, sweating, and pupil dilation. The hippocampus is your memory center, storing raw information from the senses, along with emotional baggage attached to the data by the amygdala.
So now this is where where the PTSD is also over here. Now, I think it's all tied in, but number one, you need the amygdala, and I'll talk about PTSD in another video. But this is it's beautiful how I can tell you how you can work your way out of it. All right, here we go.
These key parts: what happens when we are anxious, stressed, or fearful. Anxiety, stress, and of course fear are triggered primarily through your senses. Sight and sound are first processed by the thalamus, filtering incoming cues and sent directly to the amygdala or to the cortex. Smell and
So, see, sight and sound. I did another video, but now I'm going to tie it into this video, I think. All right, so sight and sound. Follow this. You guys know those movies where they throw a flashbang in there and then the cops come running in or the military comes running in? Well, that's because that loud noise is so intense and it's so bright and it's including some smoke that visually it hits the, doesn't come up here to be processed. It's so loud. It's not a normal noise. It immediately requires the fight response. I mean, you can go up to a baby and go, and I don't know if I got you on that yourself, but if you do that to a baby, it will jump, it will flinch, and it might even start crying because now it's not crying because you scared it. It's crying because it can't talk, remember? It's saying, yo, mom, get over here. Something's trying to attack my ass. That it hit this amygdala, it hit the flight or fight response in it, and the baby shook a little bit because that's all the muscles it has with it, and then it sent out the alarm. And so back to the alarm and trust, the baby cries and stops crying, and then cries and stops crying. Well, it's a trust that we created. It learned that it doesn't have to keep crying. That's just not efficient. They can just send out an alarm, a little siren, say, hey, come on over here. If I don't want titty, you know what I want? I want some hugs and loves. So, one or the other. Put it down. It cries. It's not selfish. That's not the baby. You're not teaching the baby to be spoiled or anything else. Fucking don't be selfish. Give it the fucking love. Hold the friggin' baby. I'm sorry. You want to just turn the baby loose already. The damn thing can't even see, can't even figure out what's going on, and you're depriving it of the only pleasure it's taught to accept at this time, the bonding of the mother. The bonding of the mother. By you pushing the kid away, you're teaching the kid through these learned responses that it's now this feeling that it needs, this bond it needs, is not going to be met. It might be intermittent. She might do it when I get food. Well, hey, that would make me want to eat a lot, right? Or she might do it when when she's having a weak moment, showing her family how cute I am. And so the baby can't figure out when it happens. So it's so intermittent. Maybe ultimately the brain decides that, the amygdala decides that this feeling of love is associated with pain because it can't accept. It's got to protect itself, so it can't learn what love is, the bond. And now see, that bond is just not the baby being selfish. It's actually for the mother also. I mean, look, otherwise you're just feeding this baby. You got a cat, right? Don't you love it when your cat jumps up on your lap, shows you he loves you, and he rubs up against you, and he purrs? Well, that bond, you made the friggin' baby. Come on. It's showing you it loves you the only way it can. It can't speak yet. so it bonds with you. It wants to hold you and hug you. It wants to contact. And by you pushing the baby away, it's teaching the baby that it's not, and this is an instinctual thing, and I think the instinctual thing is in the amygdala, is and because the pathway is going out of here, not from this way to that way. The pathways are coming out of this deal. So so now it's so it's learning that love is no good. Now let me fast forward this a little bit. So now kid learns this, right? So it can't get love from the mom. It gets food from the mom. That's it. It gets to be a 4-year-old kid. It starts getting, the mother starts disciplining the kid for wanting to hold it or being attached to it. It pushes its arm away. I've seen this with parents pushing the arm away. It tells the kid to go sit down. All the things unrelated to what the kid needs, which is that bond. It still needs to show the mother. It's built in here. I need to show love, love, love. The mother keeps showing the kid, reinforcing this memory that love equals pain, love equals pain, love equals pain. Kid still does it up till 7 years old, maybe the rest of your life. Actually, you're still trying to get this love from the mother, if you will. Problem is, that's the only. She just fucked you, because now you at 7, 8 years old, you're catching on. 7 years old, 6 years old, preschool. You're finally learning about stuff around crayons and drawing, and you're learning that to draw is to have some type of ability to accept the art of drawing. Filling in the lines is a reward system. The teacher says, that's great, you use red lines there. You could care less. You could scribble and be kind of crazy about the lines going down, right? You could play with sand, stack sand up and get amazed by sand. This is your brain learning all the textile things in the world. And some people try to teach them art already, something. Anyway, but you're able to learn all this stuff, and that's why you can learn multiple languages as a little kid also. It doesn't have a baseline to follow. It just give it on, give it, give. And she's repressing love, the number one thing that's going to make relationships healthy later in life, make the person a narcissist or not, and what we call a narcissist. So, and I'll show you real quickly how that ties in. So, the kid learns all this, textile things in life, goes to school, learns about bullying, all this stuff. Finally, it gets to a girlfriend thing, a boyfriend thing, use whatever you like. It really likes it's drawn sexually because that part of the brain kicks in instinctually. It kicks in, hormones, body starts changing instinctually. It wants to be drawn to a sexual activity, not because it had a mental desire to let's try this out. No, it was drawn there because otherwise you go as long as you could. And then at some point you're just drawn to the other person as physically attractive. Physically attractive. So you then, and that would be back here. I'm thinking that wasn't decided up here, as a rational thing to do. We should do this together. No, it was something that kicked in, a time release thing based on the hormones, being released. All right, actually for making babies. So then we have this weird feeling coming, and what's that feeling that you need to decide that you're going to be good mates? Is a love feeling. How great is that? You're feeling love for this person that you've been having sex with. Now all of a sudden the love feeling kicks in. But wait, what happens? Screw you. Your amygdala remembers that love, this feeling of love you're feeling in my case, for a woman, say, right? I don't have it like this, but let's just use me as an example. So you're feeling love for this woman, but now she is, but the love, all of a sudden, this great feeling in your mind, you all of a sudden get anxiety and stress and pain, and you start backing away. And why is that? Because it causes too much pain. Because we were being rejected over and over again as a kid. Literally, some kids put in cages, as I showed in one of my, as I showed here. As someone else shared that. As I showed children being put in cages. Now you can look at all this stuff you want. They don't tie it into the amygdala. So children put in cages. So these parents literally reinforce the negative. Here it is in Pennsylvania. Okay. It should have. Okay, yeah, Pennsylvania and all that. So these kids are being put in cages, and wow, there's a literal. There it is. So anyway, it's just wow. I mean, literally, these people do this to this other human. So now this is only reinforced. This memory comes back of the cage. The pain of the cage comes back when you feel this love. She, the mother, put the children in the cage because she didn't want to give the love desire. She didn't want to meet that kid's love needs of holding and everything else. Ugh. So it was so painful that this is like being put in a cage. You all of a sudden back down that emotion of love. You back it out. You don't know what's going on, but you know one thing: this girl that you thought you loved, or guy you thought you loved. Let's call it a girl, because a lot of women say it's mostly men, right? I say it's mostly women. So well, because I only see it from my men's side, right? So anyway, no, I get it. So I'm just making light of it right then. So it's mostly men who then say, "Oh, wait a minute, this woman is actually causing me pain." It's interpreted as that. It's now relearned through the process of learning. You know, the cage thing, the operative conditioning, that love equals pain, love equals pain, love equals pain. Okay, cut back the love, cut back the love. This will get me out of the frigging cage. All of a sudden, love is introduced during this relationship. Oh shit, this girl she's the mother, but he doesn't realize all the brain knows is that this is pain. This is pure pain coming from this lady. And so he backs up. He might even call her a name, and he becomes abusive. The woman says, "Oh, he's a narcissist. He set me up. He's going in and out." And then he calms down. He comes back to her. "I'm sorry. I'm not sure where that came from." He's right. He does know where it came from. And then they go back at it, and they go round and round in this circle. Next thing you know, he's the victim too, not knowing it. To her, she's just a pure victim, that he's just this guy that uses love as an excuse to beat me up, to abuse me mentally. He's mentally not understanding what's going on, but he's physically in a cage in his brain now from this love feeling, and he keeps falling in love. And ultimately, he's like, "I just hate love. Love is for the birds. Love is no good." This is that person. Love, what's love got to do with it? That song? Totally friggin' damaged people saying that. All right. Let's let this person rock with us, and then I'm going to round this up.
Touch go directly to the amygdala.
All right, we got the nose going to the amygdala now. These are senses. This is why I tell you, this is how you're going to, let me cut to this chase here, how you're going to fix yourself, and I'll say it in the end, hopefully. You're going to pinch your nose off, and you can close your eyes, which would be darling if you do that, and you're going to exhale, you're going to blow out your air, and you're going to just hold your mouth. I don't care if you got to pretend like you're sneezing. This is the moment you feel this aggression kicking up. You're going to hold this until you no longer feel aggression, and you're going to realize that you're okay now. And when you finish, I do not want you to come back to the original thought of the love. I want you to do something else, immediately do something else, because I don't want operative conditioning happening to you where where your brain learns that I love her. Oh gosh, what a pain. And then you do this, and then you come calm again, and then you go at it again. That's a form of what they call, I think, flooding psychologically. And it can work. In this case, I think you might teach yourself that this is just par for the course, that you also got to go through this pain with this love packet. No, you're going to do this, and you're going to do it before you allow love to come violent for you. The negative thoughts are going to come out. And you're going to attach to your women again, and you're going to enjoy yourself a different way and you're not going to chase down the love thoughts yet. You're going to let it happen naturally again. And when it happens naturally again, you're going to hopefully, before you do this, you can say, "I love her. This is a positive thing. This is a positive thing." But you're going to immediately get out of your anger state, your attack state, your fight or flight state by doing this. And that's because this part of the brain will make you fight. I don't care if you love me or not. If I cut off your oxygen and your mouth, and I put a knife in your hand, at one point when you're passing out, this part is gonna stab that knife right into me to get oxygen. It is my form of stabbing that knife into yourself. When going down this road, the amygdala will, when you're cutting off the oxygen and the senses and the air, it will immediately forget what's going on. I don't care what stress you're under. You do this, you're gonna forget all those stresses. I don't care what it is. No matter what it is, breathing will become your primary need. Your amygdala will calm down, and it will decelerate everything instantly, and it will tell you can let go now of your mouth, and you'll be in a total state of calm. It's that simple. It's beautiful. Now, carrying on with this. So when you feel aggression about your mother, your father, whoever you feel any pain or any argument about, just do this. It works for the smallest of things. You got to create how you're going to be sneaky about it, pretend like you're sneezing or whatever. And again, those people are triggers at that point. Whatever's a trigger, like you saying to that guy, with the funny clothing on. Hey, you look funny, man, with your clothes on. That's just a trigger. That's attacking him. He's going to attack back from the amygdala. And here we go.
Bypassing the thalamus altogether. This is why smells often evoke very powerful memories of food. Any cues from your incoming senses that are associated with a threat in the amygdala, whether that threat is real or not, current or not, are immediately processed to trigger the fear response. This is the expressway. It happens before you consciously feel the fear. The hip
Happens here first before it goes here. Again, that would be the scary movie. They jump at you, you jump away, and then you realize, ah, shit.
thalamus and pituitary gland cause the adrenal glands to pump out high levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Too much cortisol short circuits the cells of the hippocampus, making it difficult to organise the memory of a trauma or a stressful experience. Memories lose context and become fragmented. The body's sympathetic nervous system shifts into overdrive, causing the heart to beat faster, blood pressure to rise, and lungs to hyperventilate. Perspiration increases, and the
I think he's wrong on this part where it says you can't remember it, because clearly people with PTSD are remembering their events, and it's one after another. Each event is as traumatic. It's based on you can't remember it because it wasn't that traumatic. The more traumatic it is, the more you're going to remember it. Or unless it's at the child developmental stage below 7 years old, then you don't remember it. Now I'm going to have an awesome one for you here, and I got to wrap this stuff up, right? How do you remember who abused you as a child? With your mother or your father? Well, you figure it out. You know which one it is. Just accept it. And it's more than likely always the mother because, again, this is the one we need to bond with. The father's just secondary. He doesn't have a titty we can suck on. He didn't have the love we needed to reinforce the titty sharer that was, we need a bond with her. You know, it was supposed to be for her. Her thing was supposed to be fired up holding the baby in the hands, right? You know, holding the babies in the hands supposed to make you feel like they're holding a cat in the hands. So the person that can't hold a cat in the hand, love a cat, probably might fall on these lines. I don't know. You can write comments down below. But here's how you tell how you abused as a child. I'll take me, for example. For me to get along with my mother, I have to, she has to be 100% right. I can't ask any questions. I have to basically worship her with no conflict, no demands at all. And that's it. And don't expect a response back for anything that I do ask a question or not. So that's current day. So I have changed, right? Because you have relationships and all that. But remember, this person has not changed. The mother has not changed. They are the same, and that to you, they are your same. That's why they say, "Oh, you used to be so sweet you when you were a child." I know a lot of people heard that before, right? That's what the mothers would tell you. That's a form of abuse to you, right? They. That's just abuse, man. It's just mental abuse, nasty shit. But that statement is exactly what they want to see again in you. They want that child back, the one that was totally needed her, worshiping her, everything else, and she had to give nothing. And we know she had to give nothing if you current day have to give if she gives nothing to you. Be careful of the manipulative food thing. That's what she had to do as a baby, right? Here's your food. Come here, little baby. It triggers this response in you. Your mother just gave you food. Now you're back into this thing. Don't take food from your mother if you're in this situation where you've been abused. Do not do it. That's triggering this old memory in here. This shit's in there. You're now falling into the, okay, she's okay, just a great woman. There's nothing wrong, must be wrong with me. And that's when you're falling into the, what people call, that damn movie. Stage, shoot. I'm going to move on. The movie, I got it written down somewhere. Everyone calls that movie with the, great. Were they playing with your mind? Come on, I'm sorry for doing this. You guys got to stick with me for a second, and I have no idea where the she thinks she's going crazy. You guys are probably saying the movie over and over. I wish I could hear it, right? Come on, I'm trying to find the damn movie. That was one of my favorite movies, and I actually accused a girl of doing that to me. And I have to tell you too, the people you think are doing that to you, they're also a victim too. They've been abused, and that was their way of survival, going that other way. So this person's been abused if they playing that love game, going in and out, doing what people call narcissists, and they say they do. Screw it. I'm pissed off now. You think you're crazy, right? You think you're crazy and you're not crazy, and you start re-wondering if this is right, if you're wrong. Well, that's because you've been just played with here, and we have a thing in our brains that we can't have two conflicting stories. We have to resolve it, and so this is where you start thinking you're nuts. And so I tell you that I come to your house, and I'm telling you now, pretend like I just drove to your house, and I tell you, hey, I just drove up my blue car, and then 10 minutes later, I said, I just drove up my orange car. Now you heard two stories, and you heard it now, even right now, as you just heard that. Those are two conflicting stories, and your brain is like, come on, man, I can't figure this out. What's going on here? It's going crazy. If I leave it alone and just walk away now, I've just screwed with your mind. It's just a story. Teach your brain that it was just a story. Neither car existed. I don't have to tell you right now, but you will have to resolve which color cars you accept. Or you can teach your brain that it's okay. It was just a story. It doesn't have to be one car or the other. But I have to tell you, even I have to resolve it. We'll pick the blue car. You can't have two conflicting stories. Try it. It will drive you nuts. Um, so you try to resolve and come with one story. And if that story is ultimately you are not sure, you'll doubt yourself over the other person because the other person's playing that game with you. Darn it, it drives me crazy. What's the movie? Movie where she was driven crazy. Let's call it crazy, okay? Don't they better pull it up? Come on, come on. Gaslight. Gaslight. Oh, I spelled gaslight wrong. I've been spelling it wrong all this time. So you feel like you've been gaslighted, right? So so there you have it. Now this person at an extreme narcissist level, they to survive. I survived by being the one that got put in a cage. Basically, I did not get put in a cage. I got some other things done, but not the cage. Definitely beaten. You know, physically beaten. If you heard the words um, I'll give you something to cry about. That means you were crying. You were offending them. You were painful to them. You bothered them. So, you know what? Let me just shut this kid up with some more pain. So, wow. So, this is why I'm saying don't do the pain thing. Don't do this and then hold your nose and then go back right immediately into the lovey things. That's going to create this is just a punishment pain thing and it's going to lose its effect or may lose its effect. So, I'm saying just, do it to come back to reality. Get your frontal lobe involved and say, I love this woman and I want to show love to her. And this programming, after listening to this video, was from my mother stopping that kid from love. And again, let's go back to the mother thing. In this case, current day, that's how I have to. That's how I have to get along with her by being that way. She would never hear this conversation. She would never admit to anything. Ever admit to hitting me. Ever admit to beating me. Ever hit to saying that I was crazy, which she said many times. They'd say that literally. Um, all these things are abusing a little kid that has no ability to do it. Now, on her side, which I find difficult to believe, is that she is a victim too from her mother possibly. I met her mother. And her mother was not that way, and I'd have to say her father was not that way either. And so this was a learned event from her for whatever reason she learned to be this nut job. So and let's go on from there. And I share that with you not because I'm relieving myself, because I've relieved it many times already to myself, to show that it takes that you have to express it. And so you can think this in your mind, but you need to let it out in words. Express it. Don't express it with the mother. You're going to get gaslit. You're going to go around in a circle here. You're going to get food handed to you, whatever the source is. You're going to get maybe the token hug that I don't know what triggers you to fall back in line, but they'll have that trigger ready to get you back in line. These people are know clearly. This is the person that, for example, if I walk in and I hear my mother on the phone, I hear her all negative conversation on her side, and if she listens to anyone, it's just with a blank ending, no recourse back, no sharing, no wishing you well. Or maybe this will help you. No wishing you success, no wishing you the best, no nothing. If anything, she'll take credit for some of your success. You are so smart. That's what they say, or something like that. To someone else, he is so smart, stealing your credit because they're now sharing how smart you are, knowing that the credit's going to come back to them. They know it's going that way, but not like, it's not true. They don't, because if they're so smart, then why don't they take your advice and talk to you and deal with things, right? All right, I digress. Let's move on.
These nerve endings tingle, causing goosebumps. Your senses become hyper alert, freezing you momentarily as you drink in every detail. Adrenaline floods to the muscles, preparing you to fight or run away. The brain shifts focus from digestion to focus on the potential dangers, sometimes causing evacuation of the digestive tract.
Literally, you might be scared the shit out of you, is what he's saying right there. So, there we go.
Urination, defecation, or vomiting. Heck, if you're about to be eaten as someone else's dinner, why bother digesting your own? Only after the fear response has been activated does the conscious mind kick in. Some sensory information.
I know he's talking fast, but again, only afterwards. And again, go back to my story. You've been scared, the dog jumping at you from a fence, or the movie you're watching jump back. At the point you stop jumping back was then the brain. This guy shared that shared with the brain. The brain was able to kick up to a level and say everything's good to go. And if you analyze how you reacted afterwards, you don't even know how long it's in you. You may pause the movie and think about it, laugh about it, get up and go get a cup of coffee or something. It's still in you at that point. That timeline is your dial down time, if you will. And believe me, a dial up time can be hours, even days, or years. If you're trying to resolve something. So that's that hyper state of something's wrong. I wish I could get my life together. I wish I could figure out what's wrong with me. What's wrong with me? There is nothing wrong with you. Your programming was screwed by the mother, and what's wrong is that, if you can say it now, if I can say wrong, because I'm a positive thinker, what needs to be corrected is to accept things as they are. So some people might attack you. For example, you're gonna love this one. So I also do construction, obviously. So I'm helping a guy build a column. Now this guy's like a partner for me, right, with me, and so I'm moving a block over because we're trying to put it back together. I pinch his finger. He says, "Look what you did." Now, of course, this response to me is like overreactive, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, I told you wear gloves." That's what I told him, which I always tell him wear gloves, right? So I'm like, "Yeah, to wear gloves." But check this out. I caused a physical pain to him. A physical pain. Remember, a pain here? His reaction is an aggressive reaction. He has of that. Even though you think he's just bringing it to my attention, no, he's challenging it. He has no choice now but to bring it there. And his smile was not that of a loving smile towards me when he showed me the finger. It's more of an aggressive one that he can't control. In fact, it's automatic because he's just been assaulted, and yet he can't do anything to me. So all he can do is say, this part kicks in and says, "Look at my finger." But this part was like immediately ready to attack. And of course, pull your finger away immediately, fight, look at the immediate, see how the injury is. And then this comes in and says, it's his fault. It's his fault. And comes at it. Not that the simple rational decision is making is, well, we are moving blocks together. We were putting them back together. I did have my finger, but where I should have now, in hindsight, know that you don't put your finger between where obviously blocks are going to be pushed together. That's where his finger had to be, right? And so that would be the rational, calm way of doing it. If he could have grabbed his mouth and nose and held his hands together and passed out on, knock himself out, it would knock this out. He'd been come clear and go, okay, I hit my finger. Wow, next time I'm going to wear gloves. And man, I got to keep my fingers out of the block thing, man. We were doing that fast too. And the rhythm, man, maybe I should work on the other side of him so he couldn't have pinched me. All right, that's what I'm driving at. So in other words, I drop a weight on your toe, friend or foe. I drop a weight on your toe, you're going to immediately go into attack mode. Not the rational person would say, looking from the distance says, I would look from the distance and I would say, see this happening. I go, oh shit, let me run over there and see if he broke his foot. That's how I rationally do it. I feel no pain from it dropping on his toe. I may cringe, and that's that part of my brain that says cringe, for his pain. His empathy kicks in a little bit there. But I felt no pain on my toe. In fact, this rational part says, let me go see if he broke his toe. Did he break an artery? Something. I'm thinking more medically at this point. The person that received the drop weight on the toe immediately feels pain. This kicks in. Anger, pain relates to anger. Remember, pain is anger. Emotional or physical pain are the same thing. It results in, I'm going to kick some ass. I'm going to rip something apart, or I'm going to run. If I can't kick it apart, I'm going to run. And usually flight is pretty much the last thing, but it's automatic. It's not determined by you. It's determined by that dog, by the amygdala. Now, if someone insults you, that's a painful thing. Now we're talking about the ego. And so now I think the ego is here. I think that was determined by the crying or not. I cried. My mom comes to me. Sweet, sweet. I get the titty. Yep, I'm done with the titty. She puts me down. I send the siren out. She picks me up. Says, my baby must need some loving. Must need some holding. She holds me. She puts me down. I open my eyes a little bit and I go, yeah, that was enough. I'm going to go to sleep now. You good. Well, I open my eyes a little bit and go, no, you're letting me go, lady. Yep. Siren goes up. She got to pick me back up. I feel good. And then she puts me back down. This time I look at her, I go, I'm good. I'm going to sleep now. I go to sleep. Okay, so there we go. But some people decide that, you know what? I'm not holding him that long. I'm putting him down. I cry. I don't get this love. I don't get this automatic bond I was supposed to create with you. So you give it to me. So then now my ego, if you will, I'm thinking this is the version of how the ego is created. My ego gets a little hurt because now you feel a little pain because your mother won't hurt you, touch you, hold you. You feel pain because your mother pushes you in the cage. See what I'm driving at here? This ego is not up here or here. It's not a frontal thing. This is the point where you can't even communicate with it, with your mother yet, through besides screaming. So, but this is creating an ego thing. You're feeling some pain now. But say you got a home run. You know, she treated you real nice up to the point where you're now being put in a cage because you want something. She tells you that I can't touch you. You know, I can't. You know that you have too many demands on me. So you go to the cage, and so now your love is being rejected, and so rejection is painful, and so now your ego gets changed, altered. You can figure out which direction that's going to go, and so now they say you might have a shallow ego, you know. So you say, hey, dude, is that the shirt you put on today? Is that the shirt you chose? Well, that would pretty much screw with everybody, right? So come on. You know, this guy's messing with you. Know his intent is to mess with you. And so you know this person is sort of an abuser, right? Because he's not complimenting you. And you know this about anybody who's not positive. They're in a negative zone. Those people are just abusers, man. You just need to hold your breath, clear out away from that toxic bastard, move on. Or you can confront them with the one freebie saying, hey, what your comment you just made was hurtful. Was that your intention? I said this to a friend of mine, and at that point he said, no, man, I'm sorry. That's how you're supposed to say it. He's never said anything bad about me. And that was only a few days ago I said that to him. When I say a few days, a couple of months back. And a few months back when I put together this formula. And so this, now I know that's a true friend and he's capable. He's not. He didn't mean to be mean and he can do it. A mean person will go, what's wrong, man? You know, you're thin skin. You know, you're not tough. Toughen up, sissy. You know, other names like that. Those people are toxic. Don't try to fix them. It's not your job. I know you want a tendency to fix them. Don't do it, baby. They're toxic. That's like staying with, that's just like taking on poison. Move on. That person that's it. It's not your job. It's not part of your life. There's billions of people out here. They're stuck within your job. Do what you got to do to move on. Keep that person out of your zone. Keep them out of this. This your hemisphere right here? Not out here. This is your hemisphere right here, baby. Is it here? Keep them out of there. They say them things that trigger you. I can trigger all of you. I think you all, I can say you figure out the word. That might even just fired you up. But let's go on to let's round this up.
A more thoughtful route from the thalamus to the cortex.
Okay, the thoughtful route. Let's see.
Cortex decides whether the sensory information warrants a fear response. If the fear is a genuine threat in space and time,
See, I think it's just pain in general, and that's the ego pain too.
Cortex signals the amygdala to continue being on alert. Fear is a good, useful response essential to survival. However, anxiety is a fear of something that cannot be located.
And I don't really think it's fear. I think it's your response. And I don't think fear, and we call it fear when all these things kick in, we call it fear. I jumped back from the couch. I laugh about the knife thing. It came up here. I laugh about it. I don't have fear anymore, and I don't feel like I had fear when you reanalyze it. You know, when the person told me off and got me into their zone where I just immediately went into the verbal attack stage back at them, into a rant where I'm stuck in here and I'm stuck in this rant, and I finally catch on that I'm here by myself in this rant. I dial it back, right? I feel ashamed and disgusted with myself for doing it when I can't realize why I got lost control and things like that. I don't feel fear. It's because it was perceived as a pain and this thing dialed up.
In space and time. Most often, It is that indefinable something, triggered initially by something real that you sense, but that in itself is not threatening, but it is associated with a fearful memory. And the bed nucleus of the stria terminals perpetuate that fear response. Anxiety is a real fear response for the individual feeling anxious, and anxiety can be debilitating for the sufferer. Now that
Okay, so here's advertising for him. How's that? Keep it up for a second. If I can remove it, I would. Okay, I'll keep it up for a second for you guys, and I'll back up if you're into him. All right, now let's. Ooh, hand. He's stressing me out with that hand. No, I'm just kidding. All right, there you go. So there's that. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and I think this is probably gonna be one of the better, longer videos, and I'm gonna let this one ride intact. I'm gonna load this up, and please write me down below. Don't be afraid that someone else is going to see it. You know, if you must, write me down below. Say, look, give me your email. I'll give you my email if you must do that. And you can write me on the side. I'll even give you my phone number, not to be a crutch, but to give you an immediate cycle around here. Not to be a crutch. I can't fall into the taking care of people thing. That's one of the things I do, but I do it different formats. Not in this one. You got to be careful when you do offer things like this that person is not, you don't fall victim of the person who's just trying to suck you in. And they don't even know they're sucking you in. They just have a weird, well, it's called a knowing narcissist. They do. So let's move away from that. I'm happy to have completed this, and I hope this is helpful. And please challenge me on anything, that you might have seen there, and I'll rethink it, reword it. My brain's a mile a minute. I've got tons of notes. I didn't follow them. But maybe I'll grab this one here, one note. Let me look at it. It says, ego is not born. Okay, right. So I'm saying ego, you're not born with an ego. I'm saying ego is added. This is important because this is when you get emotional fights with somebody or verbal verbal attacks because you feel like you're being attacked and people say it's your ego, it's weak and all this other stuff. So ego is not born. The baby doesn't have an ego. It's butt naked. It doesn't care whose titty it gets. It just wants love and food. And it can be taught total love its entire 7 years and learn only love and how to appreciate love if you could do that for the baby as the mother and as the parents. It also would be ideal, but that doesn't happen, does it? Ego is not born, but put into the okay. So I think it's put into here again because when someone says something to you that affects you, um, you don't process it here. If they say something to you like, "Hey, you look like a dog today," you look what the dog dragged in or something, you didn't come into here. If you did, you'd come into here and go, "Wow, this person, are they projecting? Are they feeling okay? I wonder, wow, they normally don't address me like that. So what's wrong with you? What's wrong with them?" No, you're going into attack mode immediately after someone says that. That's down here, baby. That's right down here. My lovable. Um, I'm sorry, my lovable amygdala. I was actually trying to pronounce the word in my brain. I just didn't want to stutter on the line anymore. Amygdala. So, okay. By your needs and are being met, and I told you how I think it's changed because of the rejection of the cage, the love, the mother beating you through your life, the punishment. You finally, just become a tough little bastard, or not, and ultimately, you have been taught by the mother at a very young age that, hey, look, I want you to understand that if someone says to you, I don't like your shirt, I don't like you, I don't want you to take that as an attack. I want you to take that as, hey, what's wrong with you today? You're attacking me. Is there something, that was, I perceived that as quite painful. Can you, what, did you mean it to be painful? Okay, that's how I'm going to end that because that's a major one there. This would help you in a lot of your domestic fights. Just ask the person, did you mean to be painful? If they respond back in an angered manner, that means they're here. They're here. And they got triggered by something you did, for example. You fell down and they thought you should never fall down. And so now they saw you clumsy and they start attacking you. And that's because this shit triggered them up here. They had some weird programming in here that they can never make mistakes. And so if they love you, you can never make mistakes. And so by you stumbling and making a mistake, you just brought in this immediate attack. You are an extension of them. You stumbled. They stumbled. You upset them because you caused this stumble. And so now you get attacked by them by calling you a stumble ass, a thumb ass, or whatever they might go this verbal route where we're up here. It just shouldn't happen. What they should have said, hey, you okay, honey? Or, you're right there. Wow. Maybe we can fix that part. What, the shoe? Maybe change shoes or what? You okay? You're stumbling. You're physically okay, right? That's what this would be up here. Rational defense. Anything short of that, any attack. If you can teach yourself one thing, anybody attacking you, they're working from here and they got triggered by something you did, not you. Maybe it is you because you represent maybe even their mother, the other person that the mother always attacks. Okay. Think huggies and love and think positive and think those things I just say. Think about how to be, how to ask the person, hey, that really hurt me. Or I was hurt by your statement. Did you mean to hurt me? Saying that, I have got the result where it came back to here with the person and they have apologized to me. And I didn't bother sending this video because I didn't have it. This must be 40 minutes long. Now I'm guessing now as I press it. 42.